Robots of Death is the TARDIS, carrying the Doctor and his new companion Leela, arrive aboard a huge sand miner on a deserted world. The small human crew relies almost entirely on robots that carry out their every task and whim while they mine the planet's rich minerals. Suddenly, one by one, members of the team start to disappear. The time traveler discovers that someone or something is murdering the crew. But of course, nobody believes it could be the robots. Now, I've never read an Agatha Christie novel or mystery, but there's always been a cliche of what an Agatha Christie murder mystery is. And this follows a lot of the tropes of an Agatha Christie murder mystery. You know, it's like an isolated, almost locked room murder mystery, or just a locked building that everybody's in and murders happen. It has that, and one disappear one by one until they find out who it is. It's also kind of based upon Isaac Asimov's rules of robotics, much like the Fourth Doctor's first story, Robot. They talked about the prime directive of robots. The first prime directive is that no robot can harm another human being. That was mentioned in this one as well. They mentioned the same thing. The first prime directive is no robot can harm a human being, which is in reference to Isaac Asimov's first law of robotics, is that no robot shall harm any human being at all. So there's that. And also the sand miner little vessel that they're all on is actually slightly inspired by Frank Herbert's Dune, to where it's like a deserted planet, and I believe they have mining vessels on there as well. I haven't read Dune yet. It's been years since I've seen the original movie. But yeah, so there's these three inspirations that they can combine together to make this one story, and those are pretty good inspirations. And kind of, you can actually, if you know where they come from, you can actually see it in the story. Now the story itself. At first, when I saw the movie, I thought everything was kind of like Oriental designed, and I thought that was cool. I liked that type of thing. But then watching the making of it, they said no, it's Art Deco, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes much more sense. It's Art Deco, which is good, because when I originally thought it was based on Oriental design, the characters have this kind of tattoo-like line going around their eyes, and it's kind of slanted. And I thought that looked like an unintentional racist thing there, because, you know, Japanese slant eyes or something like that. So I was like, that seems unintentionally racist. But then when they said it's inspired by Art Deco, I was like, okay, that's not their intention. Even if it was unintentional, that's not what they were trying to do, because Art Deco has a lot of straight lines and sometimes rigid or pointy. So it's like, okay, that was just going with it. So that was clear. I was like, okay, it's not unintentionally or intentionally racial. It was just part of the design. So everything just accidentally looked Oriental in my mind. Okay, but everything just looked beautiful, from the costumes, the sets, everything looked beautiful. I liked how it was a murder mystery. It kind of took a step back from what usual Doctor Who stories are, with aliens and monsters. Although it's kind of like a monster setting with a robot, but it's done in an entirely different way, with like I said, a murder mystery rather than just a monster or a robot wreaking havoc. The twists and turns were pretty good. There was some nice edgier moments, scenes, good characters. Actually try to do some good, interesting characters. Like each member of the mining crew are like different races and creeds, and also have different points of view. And some are against each other, or some work together or try and be passive. You know, they have different characteristics, and it made for an interesting story. The robots themselves are pretty interesting, because they're on a ship that when you're on a mining vessel for like 2 years, it would be nice to have a robot that actually looks nice, and they actually did. They actually have a robot that looks nice and just has a passive face. It's not like a robot that has like one eye or just looks hideous, or something cliche Doctor Who robot. It actually looks like a human head, a nice hairdo, but like it has a seemingly human-looking head, and is dressed and stuff like that, and has like a more human voice. So the robots themselves are pretty good. They just kind of look creepy or dangerous when their eyes glow red, and that's when they're out to kill humans. Leela, this is like Leela's second adventure as companion to the Doctor, and she's really stepped up her game from the face of evil. She's still badass. But she's being more observant and more understanding of things, although she still kind of like has her, barbaric thought, education. I wouldn't say education, I would say traits, or knowledge. I should say knowledge, because when she's looking at one character, she says he kind of walks like a hunter. And then we find out later that that character is actually a spy working for the company because they fear for a robot revolution. So is that kind of like her knowledge actually helped because she was able to read certain characteristics of people and actually helped out. Um, the set, like I said, the sets were beautiful. Everything was great. Tension was good. Editing was very nicely done. There was a couple scenes that had some nice editing techniques switching between normal camel vision and the robot's vision, their point of view, how it looked. Nice little editing between back and forth and that. Even though there was a lot of tension, there was also some funny moments. One of my favorite parts is, as you know, with the Fourth Doctor, he's been offering jelly babies, which reminds me of a little note. There's like in the last, I've been trying to keep track of how many jelly babies were eaten in each story. In the last story, there's like at least 2 or 3 jelly babies eaten. 2 or 3 jelly babies eaten. This one, it was like at least. As like, let's see, I think like about two jelly babies were eaten. Yeah, they were in the same scene, so it was like 2 jelly babies eaten. But getting back to what I was saying earlier, there's this funny part where the doctor's, in the common area, and they all think the doctor and his companion were killing everybody. And he just pulls out his bag, jelly babies, eat ones, and he offers it, like, would you like a jelly baby? And somebody goes, no, and just whacks it out of his hand. And the doctor just gives this kind of like, awkward face, goes, and he quietly says, well, a simple no thank you would have been sufficient. That was just hilarious because you'd always seen like, oh, jelly baby, and then people will take it or just say no, or like in the face of evil, people like, the evil one, he does eat babies, So it's kind of interesting. They're kind of parodying their own trend, their own gimmick. So that was funny. So that there are plenty of humorous moments throughout the story, very tension moments, good character drama, and. So also to note, this story I liked ever since the Hand of Evil. There was they changed the interior of the TARDIS to this kind of like brown wood paneled TARDIS, that kind of like old fashioned like 1700s, and I like that control panel. I like that interior of the TARDIS control panel a lot. Unfortunately, this is the last story it's gonna have that'll be in it, which just sucks because from what I understand from the story, from behind the scenes of the story, it got lost or it got damaged, and so they had to go back to the original white panel version. Although they updated the white panel just a little bit because of that. But they originally went from the white panel to the brown panel because the white panel was just too big. It covered up a majority of the space in the studio. So they went to the brown panel because it was smaller, more interior, so it could have more space for other sets. So they went back to the white panel, and I think they kind of shortened it up a little bit to compensate for it, so it wouldn't be as large. So it'd be easier to just make the white panel smaller, and so it's smaller in there, so they have room for the other sets of the studio. So they learned from the brown panel. But I love the brown panel, but unfortunately it's not going to be in there anymore, which sucks. But we go back to the classic white panel. And this will become a trend with later Doctor Who stories later on, particularly in the new series, where almost every Doctor, after David Tennant, gets like a new TARDIS interior design. So everything was pretty well good in this one. It was a nice pace as well, because if you remember the last story, The Face of Evil, the only complaint I had with that story was it was just a bit slow. It dragged a little bit. With this one, it actually ran at a good pace. Everything was explained thoroughly. It was really like not semi-fast paced. It had everything was explained. Everything flowed nice. Everything was just beautiful. Everything was good, and I have really no complaints with this story. This is just really good, fun, enjoyable story. Companion-wise, Leela is doing better. I like her. I'm missing Sarah Jane, but I do like Leela. I like her very much, and I like to see where we still go with her. I'm loving her every day because she's just so fun. And I just like how her knowledge is more barbaric rather than high-educated college, university type of woman. So it's fun to see where this goes with her. Overall, very fun story. I do recommend this to every Doctor Who story. In fact, recently I understand this story was chosen for at a 50th anniversary celebration or something. This story was chosen by fans and other people that this story represents the majority of Fourth Doctor stories, because everything that makes the Fourth Doctor is in this story. So that to me, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of understandable. I mean, he has the scarf, hat, clothes, jelly babies. You know, they kind of parody it, market. You know, and it also just shows because the Fourth Doctor era, they tried the producer Philip Hinchcliffe. They tried doing something different rather than doing the same thing over and over again. And how they also showed dark stories. This was not entirely dark like the Face of Morbius, the Mind of Morbius, but this is just dark in the sense it's a murder mystery, and then it has robots that actually reach out and choke people and kill them. There's twists, turns. It has just everything that's completely different from the previous three Doctors. So, and that's pretty good. And unfortunately, because when I was watching the making of this one, they mentioned that this story, the new producer that would be coming on, started coming in and just, you know, was being like tailing the current producer Philip Hinchcliffe around, and Philip Hinchcliffe was training him to be the producer for the series, which kind of sucks because the Philip Hinchcliffe era is the height of the Doctor Who popularity from the original run of the series. And his stories were the best, great, although unfortunately the most criticized by Barry Whitehouse. But they were the best stories, the most fun, and I really enjoyed them. So probably the next season of stories will probably be, which I believe is season 15, might be under a new producer. I don't know just yet, but that would be interesting. I wonder what that producer will give us. I understand some of the stories that he brings are actually good as well, but I will wait. I'll wait and see until I get to those ones. But coming back to this story, sorry, I tried a different way. I'd say out of 5 stars, I give The Robots of Death 5 out of 5. Yeah, like I said, it's really enjoyable. I do recommend it, and the fans recommended it, and has made it like the overall example of all Fourth Doctor stories. So yeah, this is really good. Thank you for watching. The next Doctor Who story I'll be reviewing is The Talons of Wen-Chiang. I hope I pronounced that right. And that is the season 14 finale. Can't wait to watch that one. I heard a lot of good things about that one, and I'd like to see where that one goes. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day.